because today, after 11 long years, 11 years of famine, 11 years of what could have been, what should have been, we finally have our new college football game. I would rather it be called NCAA 25, but regardless, I'm still there. Now, I want to introduce somebody because in that trip that I took to Starkville, I drove back and had a couple people in my car, and I had a conversation with one of them and said, "Hey, you made this idea. We talked about it. We gave each other really good opinions, but at the end of the day, you gave me this idea. You should be on the show for it." And so I want to introduce my buddy who does go to my rival school, Ole Miss. He goes there, unfortunately. But I want to introduce him. His name's Noah Broccoli. Noah, please get in here.
Thanks for having me, Connor.
Yes, I'm so excited.
What's up, Nate? Yeah, you like the mullet?
So let me make sure. Nate, I'm not too loud.
No, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Noah, you understand what everything is. We done set out the rules. I want you to explain the rules. Go into say, hey, the last game that came out. Or you can use a game that you know. I don't know if you want to use Denardo Robinson as your.
I'll use RG3 as my example. That's how I used when we were figuring
out. Let's not use Denardo Robinson.
Yeah, he's irrelevant. Okay.
But let me pull up the rules. It's going to be in a ticker at the bottom. So for everybody joining in who wants to see the show, if you're getting here a little late, here are the rules at the bottom. It'll be here the entire segment. So Noah, take it away. Let us know what the rules are for the show and the segment.
Yeah, so basically the way this works is for an athlete to be considered for our cover, they had to have already graduated college, right? Up until the year of 2022 when NIL was introduced, because they couldn't have current players on the cover because of NIL not existing. And they also can't have yet played in the NFL. So they have to be put on the cover pretty much in between college and the NFL. So for example, when RG3 was on the cover for NCAA 13, right? He had his last year was the 2011 college season. Then he got put on the cover in the summer of 2012. And then the game was called 13. So we're kind of looking at 3 years here for every cover.
But it is before he had played his rookie season.
Okay. It's the year. Okay, so it's the year before the game. The players for the basically from the year before, right?
Yeah,
it's kind
of tricky because it's 2012, but it's going to be NCAA 13.
Yes.
So he will play his first NFL season in 2012, but the game will come out before the 2012 season, but be called NCAA 13.
Yeah, it's confusing. It's intricate. We looked at some articles that were looking at this same question, and a lot of them had it wrong. They didn't understand how it worked. But if you look at it, there was a precedent set on how it worked.
Wait, so does that same thing apply for Madden then?
Well, no, because Madden, there wasn't the NIL problem.
Yeah, and they had players on Madden, so somebody would have one really good year, like Peyton Hillis, and then they'd be put on the cover the next year.
Yeah,
so it's not really. It's a little bit different than Madden and NCAA.
Gotcha.
But I mean, so we stopped with NCAA 14. We had Denardo Robinson, who was a Michigan player, playing on the cover, which. I mean, Nate, if you know who Denardo Robinson and what he really did in the NFL, please be free to share.
Because he played at Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken.
He played in Jacksonville.
He the one that got smacked by Jadeveon Clowney, wasn't he?
He is the one that got smacked by Jadeveon.
Oh, that
the Outback
play?
the Outback Bowl. It was like the Outback
really?
Bowl. Yes. And he was supposed to be the next coming of Michael Vick, this big dual threat quarterback, go to the NFL. He goes to NFL, he gets switched to running back. So you to each his own, but Noah and I was left with NCAA 15. So we had to take into consideration somebody who played the 2013 season but got drafted in 2014. Okay, so this is somebody who played their 2013 year, who was Preferably, we would like seniors because this is where they showed the most.
Mhm.
And we thought of, oh my gosh, the greatest play, the greatest moment in college football history happened in 2013. Nate, what was that called?
Oh, snap. Iron Bowl.
Okay, but what
Yeah.
was the play called?
Kick,
You're there. You're there.
what is it? What is it? What is it?
We'll show you.
The kick six. So
Kick six.
imagine, Nate, that you pull up NCAA 15. Look, and this is what pulls up when it says click any button. Imagine that you're playing NCAA 15 and this exact play pulls up as we're waiting to load in.
Imagine the aura.
Just what's pulling up. Like we see Chris Davis take a kick to beat Nick Saban's Dynasty Alabama, the greatest football program to ever breathe on this earth. Number 4 ranked Auburn Tigers takes a game-winning field goal to the house to become, and look, Auburn went to the national
Look at that hit
championship
right
after this
there.
They went to the national championship because of this game. They were ranked number 4 in the country. If they did not do this, they don't go and play in the BCS.
Yeah, that's that's Jameis Winston's Heisman Trophy year, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes. But Jameis Winston was not yet a senior. So we did not consider Jameis Winston for the 2013 season because Jameis Winston was not a senior at this time.
Okay.
So we started looking
at Auburn
players. Right?
And
so we said, okay, well, Chris Davis took the kick six, but Chris Davis was a return man. We don't really want to put him on the cover, but then we started looking. Noah, do you want to tell everybody who this man is?
So this is who we found to represent Auburn. Tre Mason.
Tre Mason, the running back.
Probably the greatest Auburn running back of all time.
Whoa.
Crazy season.
So we
maybe even better than Bo Jackson. No, explain.
Whoa,
look,
wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. No, that's an opinion, all right. But like he did some stuff that year. He had, he was SEC Offensive Player of the Year, first team All-American, basically every running back award you could have. And in the SEC championship game, he set the record for the most rush yards in an SEC game. The touchdowns, the rushing touchdowns record, the rushing attempts record. He had the record for the most rush yards in a season at Auburn that year. Like he set the tone for the entire Auburn.
He set the tone.
And this was going to be our locked in pick. Like this, for me, it was like, okay, Tre Mason's locked in. This is who is on NCAA 15. And then Noah told me, what if we had the second coming of Jesus Christ in the 2013 season and we did not know it?
And matter of fact, there was college football Jesus down in College Station, and we forgot completely about him.
You talking about John Manziel?
We're talking about the one and only Money Manziel. This is who is on your NCAA 15 game cover. It's Money Manziel with this exact pose. Imagine you get your new cover of NCAA 15 in the summer of 2014, and you're so stoked, and you see this on your cover, Nate. You can't tell me you're not buying this video game.
I can't tell you that because that's a lie. I'm buying it.
This video game is bought. This guy is on your TV screen. But we did get to thinking, well, the kick six is probably the greatest moment of college football.
And you know what?
It has to be the intro video for the game.
Between the kick six and you get it. I don't think you, because it's a rivalry game too at that. I mean, I won't say it's the greatest moment in college football because I still would say, I will beg to argue the greatest moment was Vince Young running the touchdown, that touchdown.
Ooh, that's up there.
It's up there, but for me, it's not kick six. I can't put it kick six. I watched the Kick Six. I was like 1 year old when Vince
We're
Young.
also SEC fans.
Yeah,
That's
we're
part of it.
and we're SEC fans, and watching a rivalry like the Iron Bowl happen. Obviously, that's probably the greatest national championship game ever played. Was that
Yeah,
2005 game USC versus Texas?
yeah,
But
Amazing.
it doesn't capture what us as Southern football fans love, and that's a rivalry game. There is nothing more heated in the South when Ole Miss comes to Starkville or State goes to Oxford.
Mhm.
You have people parking on top of each other to go to that game. You have people sleeping on floors of restaurants to go to that game. It is just something on another level. And for
yeah,
that reason, the rivalry goes on top of the national championship game. And really, that could have been a national championship game. That
yeah.
game right. So let's
Okay.
go on into NCAA 16.
16.
So Nate, we looked at the 2014 year season, and we were like, well, what can we do here? And so there's a lot of players we looked at, and first of all, we looked at Melvin Gordon, and Melvin Gordon was crazy. He was a
He was the guy.
he was the guy. He was literally the guy.
He had an even better season than Trey Mason. It was Trey Mason's season the year before turned up on like steroids.
But you want to know something? Trey Mason, he'll get more notoriety because of where he played at.
100%.
He played in the SEC, so those games were more. You're going against guys that's on the defensive side that are SEC. Let's just be honest. The SEC puts in how many first round draft picks? At minimum 7, 8 first draft picks every year.
Yeah, half the first round.
Half the first round is SEC. So we have to take into consideration that aspect. Now, Melvin Gordon, nothing against him, but Wisconsin is known for producing running backs.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't discredit the fact that, and we're not gonna punish them, but at that same time, Wisconsin is known for producing backs. Ron Dane, if I'm not mistaken, what's the running back from Indianapolis? What's his name?
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor went to Wisconsin, didn't he?
He did.
He did.
Wisconsin is known for that's a running back. That's running back you. So, but yes, I'm listening.
Okay, read out his stats, Noah, because this is something that was crazy that has to be on a cover, right? Read it out.
Yeah. So, just like with Trey Mason, every running back award you can imagine he won. Every Big Ten MVP Offensive Player of the Year he won. But like his records were even more crazy than Trey Mason's. He set the record for the most rush yards in a game with 408. He did that in 3 quarters. 3 quarters.
Damn.
It got broken the next week.
Hey, who were they playing?
Oh, I don't even know. I couldn't tell you. But no, Nebraska. Actually, I could tell you. It's in 3 quarters against Nebraska. It got broken the next week, but he had that record for a week.
If he plays 4 quarters, that record's never broken.
Yeah. He would have had 500 yards. Also, if he had played that fourth quarter, he would have the record for the most rushing yards in a season because he was 41 yards shy of Barry Sanders.
He was like really close to Barry's. He was really close to Barry's record.
Mm-hmm. He had 2,587 yards. Just an overall crazy season.
Well, we had to think about it, and yes, this is another one of our Trey Mason dilemmas.
We had to rob another running back.
We had to rob another running back because when you look at it, Madden has precedent sets, NCAA has precedent sets. We had to look and say, okay, well, how far away? There's so many good people, so we might have to make a double cover. Does Melvin Gordon belong on a double cover with another athlete? So we look at Madden and we say, okay, well, Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes were on a double cover. Larry Fitz and Troy Polamalu were on a double cover. How far away was NCAA 16 and that double cover of Madden? It's not that far away. But when we look at it, Barry Sanders and Robert Griffin III were both on a cover of NCAA together. So we have that precedent set. We can say, hey, we're making a double cover this season. But is Melvin Gordon on it? And the answer to that is no. There are 2 even better players than Melvin Gordon that season. Noah, would you like to tell us who those two players are?
Those two players are Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston. Two players that had their destinies throughout college and even into the NFL intertwined. And if there was ever going to be two players that belong on that cover together, it's got to be Jameis and Marcus Mariota.
Oh, okay, so what's the okay? Because they played. Did they play in the national championship? No, they didn't play in the national championship.
In the first, it was the first college football playoff game
Yes, it
ever
was.
that they played against each other in.
And it was a bout. It was a memorable game for sure. I mean, you can't have one without the other. When it comes to Jameis Winston, you have to have Marcus Mariota. You can't have peanut butter without jelly. This is just how it's going to be. I got to thinking, well, we can do a console only thing like they did in NCAA. And we're just like, no, we need to do another double cover. This makes sense. These two players are so knitly woven together. It is crazy, especially going to the NFL. They were together, number 1 and number 2 picks. Both were Heismans,
back-to-back
Heismans, back-to-back national championship winners. You just can't have one without the other. So for NCAA 16, you have Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota on the cover, and that's just it.
That's it. That's perfect.
So we get to NCAA 17. Let's do this. Let me have a banner for it. NCAA 17. And this is where it gets tricky because we have, Nate, this might be 2015 season might be the greatest running back season in college football. If you can remember running backs of that season, can you remember any big running backs that you can think of off the top of your head in the 2015 season?
Well,
think about
Derrick Henry was coming out that year, didn't he?
Yes,
sir.
He won
Derrick
the Heisman
Henry?
that year.
Derrick Henry, was it Christian McCaffrey?
Yep.
Yeah,
There was
Christian
about
McCaffrey.
4 or 5.
There's about 4 of them.
got Heisman votes.
Jonathan Taylor. Wasn't Jonathan Taylor? Did he come out that year?
I don't think so. It was Dalvin Cook, McCaffrey. It was Ezekiel Elliott, and there was one really good one. I can't remember who was it. Oh man, I know it all. I know
it's somebody. I don't remember.
It's somebody
either.
good that was real good in the NFL.
But the point is,
regardless, for me, Nate, we just saw Ohio State go to and win the first ever national championship game of the college football playoff era. So for me, it was like, okay, well, we have to put Zeke on the cover. He was instrumental, especially when you have a backup quarterback come in like Cardale Jones after having your starting quarterback injured. Think about it. You have somebody coming in. This is another Doug Williams story. Who has to put pressure off that quarterback that's coming in other than Ezekiel Elliott? He was instrumental in that game. He did exactly what he was supposed to for Cardale Jones to be comfortable, to pass perfectly in the pocket, and to secure a first ever college football playoff national championship. So for me, it was easy. It was Ezekiel Elliott. But, sir?
Remember, Zeke ran over Alabama.
Yes, they did, which is why it was either Derrick Henry or Zeke. And I was like, well, you honestly have to give it to the person that won the award for the best player in college football.
And he fought for Zeke. We argued about
We
this
did
one.
argue about this one.
But Derrick Henry was just plainly dominant that year.
Derrick Henry was the best player in college football.
Easily.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. And it's the SEC bias too. We got to look at it and be like, SEC makes more money. More people are going to buy this.
If Derrick Henry's on the cover. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, also, we didn't just look at it from a fan perspective. We looked at it as if we were executives of EA in that office room. We think about it. We have the glass walls all around us in that big conference table. We're getting a lackey to fetch us coffee, and we're saying, hey, who is on the next cover of college football? So for NCAA 17, the cover was easy. It's your Heisman winner, Derrick Henry, your 2015 Heisman winner. He broke a 2,200-yard rushing record. I mean, it was easy at this point, and that's all I can say about that. Nate, do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, well, let's keep going because we have NCAA 18, and for this, Noah and I also argued about this one because he did not understand the greatness of this player that we're about to talk about. But I don't know if I've said this on the show. My mom's from Clemson, so we looked at Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson was one of the first guys to really ever break that Saban dynasty. I mean, he did it with the stellar defense. He did it with the stellar offense, and he was kind of Dabo Sweeney's right-hand man. I mean, he came in and did phenomenal, and he's probably he is not even probably he is a top 50 college quarterback of all time. That is not easily. He's easily probably top 25 if I had to say, but it just wasn't Deshaun Watson's time because hindsight's 2020. There is somebody that just might be a little bit better when it comes to college football.
Arguably the third coming of college football Jesus.
Yeah, probably the third coming of college football Jesus. But then we looked at probably one of the greatest return men in college history, D.D. Westbrook. Okay, and we were like, oh my gosh, this guy was making people look silly. This was Devin Hester in college, Nate. This guy was crazy at Oklahoma, especially. I mean, yeah, I know he was crazy. I mean, Oklahoma I think they went to the playoffs this season.
They did.
If I'm not mistaken, they went to the playoffs,
and he was the best player.
And he was the best player on the team easily. He was even though Oklahoma had stellar college quarterbacks. This was before Baker. This was before Kyler Murray, and D.D. Westbrook was the man. And then I got to looking, and I said, wait, there is somebody that is just that much better as a return man, as his position. You cannot put D.D. Westbrook on this cover. Nate, if you look back to the 2017 college football season, who is a name that you remember loud and proud that was called on NFL draft night as one of the top 5 picks in that draft? Do you remember? Are we on the same wavelength here? Who is it, Nate?
Okay, top 5 in 2018.
Would it'd be the 17 draft.
17 draft?
Yes. Think about it. Defensive player went crazy.
Top 5?
He was a top 5 draft.
Are we sure about that?
I am like, I watched. It was the same draft class as Bradley Chubb, I think. And Bradley Chubb went top 5.
Khalil Mack?
No. Khalil Mack was like 2014, Nate. That is way too old.
Get your head out of the gutter.
Get your head out the gutter. Quit glazing. Nate, let me show you this picture to refresh your memory. I want to introduce to you somebody named Mr. Jabril Peppers.
Speaking of glazing,
Noah, why did we pick a Michigan player?
Because EA loves to glaze Michigan players. At this point, Michigan players have been on the covers of these games more than anyone. I think we had 2, and these games had not been around that long, right?
Yeah.
Desmond Howard, Charles Woodson, and then now to this
Denardo Robinson.
Oh, Denardo Robinson. And now, who's the other irrelevant guy from Michigan on 25? Donovan Edwards. These people love Michigan, and they hate some Ohio State. That's another reason we didn't put Zeke on earlier. They hate Ohio State. They love Michigan. And Jabril Peppers was crazy that year.
Let me tell you a little bit about Jabril Peppers, Nate, to kind of refresh your memory. This was a Lott Trophy winner. He was the best safety in all of college football. He was a 2-time All-American, a Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Look, Nate, look at me. Look at me, Nate. Look at me. Come here.
I'm looking.
Come here. He did not just – D.D. Westbrook was good. This guy was even better. He won Big Ten Return Specialist of the Year and was 2-time All-Big Ten. But you want to know even something crazier, Nate? Come here. Something even crazier. This guy was a strong safety in college. Do you want to know the award he won at Michigan? He won the Big Ten Award for the best linebacker in the country as a safety. For Michigan's scheme to put him up in a linebacker position every once in a while, it wasn't like he was playing linebacker every snap. He was so good at what he was going to do that he took a linebacker Big Ten award from multiple good linebackers that season. That's how good
multiple
Jabril
NFL
Peppers.
linebackers.
Yes, that's how good Jabril freaking Peppers was in college. And for this guy not to make the cover of NCAA 18 would be straight blasphemy. It would be sacrilegious.
I know for a fact he would have been. I'm so sure about this one. They love Michigan. They glaze Michigan. Quit glazing me.
Yes. We would be sitting in our executive offices, Nate, with our glass walls and windows, not even thinking about
We'd be
this decision.
salivating at the
Our
fact that
mouths,
Michigan had a player this
yes,
good.
our mouths would be open, drool would be falling out, and the only two words we would say that entire day of this decision would be Jabril Peppers. What do you think?
I like Jabril Peppers, but he wasn't the. His game didn't translate into the NFL, but I mean,
but we're not talking about NFL. Think about it. This is before their rookie.
Yeah,
He
okay.
hasn't played a snap in
He
the
hasn't
NFL
played a
yet.
snap.
Okay,
in the
okay,
NFL.
okay.
Hindsight's
I
2020.
like it. I like it.
Hindsight's 2020.
I like
So
it.
let's go into NCAA 19. And Nate, let's keep the Big Ten wavelength. Let's keep it going. And we thought Saquon was a surefire pick here. I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
Saquon's a surefire pick, right? He was probably the 3rd overall pick in the draft
So much
that year.
aura.
He was second.
I know.
Second.
Like Saquads. That's what they called him. His legs were crazy.
Hey, skies out, thighs out. Skies out,
Yes.
thighs out.
Exactly. But Nate, there was a guy that had been in the Heisman finalist voting for 3 years in a row, who I like to say is the epitome of college football. Nate, do you know who I'm referring to?
He was a Heisman Trophy finalist for 3 years in a row.
And he finally won it
He
the
won
third
it.
year.
He won it. Think
What
about it.
Yeah. The essence of college football.
This
He was
is
a walk-on.
essence.
He went from being a walk-on to the best player in college football.
The maker. They call him Baker.
Baker Mayfield. Think about this, Nate. If you had NCAA 19 written across your cover and saw Baker planting the Oklahoma flag, what would you think?
Is he selling insurance?
No, he's not selling insurance, Nate.
No, if I see Baker Mayfield, I see it's fire.
Look, this guy walked on to Texas Tech, was not good enough to start at Texas Tech, so went to a even better college program, became their starter, fought for that competition. I mean,
in the research for this video, we found out they made an entire rule called the Baker Mayfield
they
rule
did.
to allow him to like transfer interconference like as soon as he did. It was like, it's crazy.
So the rule for transferring back then was if somebody was on scholarship, they could transfer, but they would have to sit out a year. Well, Baker was a walk-on. He did not get a scholarship from Texas Tech, so he transferred. Well, he had to appeal the decision of him having to sit out a year and say, hey, I wasn't on scholarship. I was purely a walk-on. I am the freaking epitome of college football. I'm going to Oklahoma as a starter. I'm going to win the Heisman in 3 years and become a finalist for the Heisman all 3 of those years. I am your guy at Oklahoma. I'm a Heisman Award, a Maxwell Walter Camp Award, a Davey O'Brien Award. I won a Manning Award, 2-time Burlsworth Award given to the best college walk-on in the country. He won it twice. He was a 2-time Kellen Moore Award. It's just too much
There's
to
like
read.
5
It's
more
too much
things
to
on this
read.
list.
He was too good at what he was able to do. So for Baker to not make a Heisman would just be too bad. So Baker makes the cover for NCAA 19, and that brings us to NCAA 20.
We're gonna sound a little crazy, like a little schizophrenic for this one.
Yeah,
I
this
think.
one might be crazy, Nate,
But we kind of gotta take you back a little bit
Let's
to
take you back. Let's
explain
take
our
you back.
reasoning. Do we have a picture?
I think this is NCAA 07.
No,
it's
go
not.
back a
What
year.
was
ago,
it? 6?
a year.
No,
No, it must have been 8.
was it 8?
It has to have been 8.
Yes, it was 8. Nate, who was on the cover of NCAA 8? I know you played this in your college dorm with Earl Mitchell. Who was on that cover, Nate?
2008.
Yes.
And I bet you don't know.
It's like the only group of 5 person to make. Oh shoot. Are we glitching? It's the only group of 5 person to make a college football cover. Think about it.
This guy did not even play a snap in the NFL.
Well, to make his solo cover, I'm pretty sure like that one year that fullback made it, he was on a group of 5 team. But
He might have been on like
Owen
I don't
Schmidt or
remember.
whatever. But
yeah, but that's
look,
not the point.
NCAA 08, Nate. Who was on the cover? Think about it. What team did he play for? You remember? You
Noel
can see it.
Devine.
Who?
Was it Noel Devine? No.
No, think about it. What team did he play for? You know it. It's in your head right now.
No, it's not because nobody knows this guy.
Boise State, Nate. It was a
N.
Boise
Johnson.
State
N.
quarterback.
Johnson or the quarterback. N. Johnson or the quarterback. If it wasn't Kellen Moore, damn, it's not Kellen Moore. It wasn't N. Johnson.
Freaking Jared Zabransky, Nate.
I'm about to,
Look,
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 Jared
I'm about to ask her. I'm
Zabransky.
about to ask her right now who's on cover of college football 08. I'm about to ask her. I'm about to ask her. Like she would know.
This man, Jared Zabransky, never played a snap in the NFL, barely spent a cup of coffee in the CFL, yet they had the audacity to put this man on the cover of NCAA 08.
Hold on, I'm getting a picture.
Which tells you that EA was willing sometimes, every once in a while, once in a blue moon, willing to put whoever on these covers.
And Zabransky made the cut. Like, look at this, Nate. This was on your college football 08 cover. This guy right here in this exact form. This is the picture they used for the cover. Jared Zabransky. So this is what we like to call our Zabransky year of football. So if we look back into 2019 season, this is 2020, 2018 season. If we look back to the 2018 season, this is when TikTok emerged. Well, there was a specific song on TikTok that was just going crazy. Nate, if I sang the song, would you know this? Throw it on a dime, like I ain't even trying. Just a kid from Briarwoods, I'm wearing number 9. And Coach Franklin down in Bandy flipped the Happy Valley. Now it's coming back. Got the money on my mind. They can't touch my deep ball. Every game I'm scoring.
Whoa.
They call me
Trace McSorley, Nate.
No.
This was going to be our Zabransky year.
No, you said something in that. You said can't touch my deep ball. And I'm like, wait a minute. You didn't say no.
No diddy, Nate. No diddy.
No Nessie.
No Nessie.
Quit lazing me.
Nate, Trace McSorley, this is our Zabransky, right? This is our Zabransky.
Because we looked at the 2018 college football season, there was not a lot of special guys that year. We had Kyler Murray, but we can't put an Oklahoma quarterback back to back. That has never happened before. They haven't even put Michigan players back to back before. There's no way.
They're going to start with Oklahoma.
And outside of that, there is no one exciting. We looked at every award winner that year. We looked at every single person in the Heisman voting, and there just wasn't a lot of guys to look at. So we considered Trace McSorley. We considered a couple other guys like Will Greer. But we ended up going with a different viral sensation that was also a quarterback.
Nate, for your cover of NCAA 20, does this picture ring a bell?
Oh, man, God rest that man's soul.
It's Minshew Mania, baby. Mississippi's own. He broke Pac-12 records on Pac-12 records. He broke a Pac-12 passing yards record and a Pac-12 completion record. He was Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year and Pac-12 First Team. He was 5th in Heisman voting. For your cover of NCAA 20, this is our Zabransky year. It goes to Washington State, Gardner Minshew. And I want Minshew Mania written everywhere on this cover, even though it didn't happen yet. I don't think that happened until this is pre-Minshew Mania.
We're changing history. We're making Minshew Mania start 6 months earlier.
Nate, who else would you have on the cover of college football this year?
Besides from Kyler Murray.
I don't have nobody else.
You don't have exactly. So that's why Minshew makes the cover of college NCAA 20.
He'll be like a little fun trivia fact, like Jared Zabransky for like the rest of time. Because every once in a while, a Zabransky falls down from heaven and graces the cover of our college football game.
So for NCAA 21, Nate, this was we did not have to research this. This was pretty well.
Cut and dry.
This was cut and dry. Like, the number 2 overall pick in the draft, Chase Young, we were like, okay, this is the guy, right? I mean, this guy was everywhere on the field. You couldn't get away from Chase Young. But, Nate, let's be for real. Who emerged in 2019 and had probably the greatest season any player has ever had in college.
In 2019?
Yes.
Come on.
You know, Nate. You know, Nate.
The greatest season?
Ever.
Devontae Smith.
No.
No, that's 2020.
Look, Nate, for your cover of NCAA 21, it's Joey freaking Burrow.
Oh, snaps. You know what? That's why I asked y'all earlier. It's throwing me off the years.
It is throwing you off. It's throwing you off
the years.
The years
Yeah,
are.
it's weird.
It's weird. It's difficult.
Because like Madden is a year removed from the name of the game, but like this is like 2 years removed from the name of the game. It is very strange.
But imagine this on NCAA 21. Joe Burrow, he was the Heisman Trophy. He won the Heisman Trophy in the biggest voting landslide ever. He had 1,800 points over Jalen Hurts. We know how special Jalen Hurts was in college. And he had just over 5,600 yards and broke an NCAA record with 60 passing touchdowns and 65 total touchdowns.
5,600 yards is actually just his passing yards. Total, if we look at passing, rushing, and even receiving, he caught one pass from himself that year. He had over 6,000 yards that season total. 65 touchdowns. You do not see that.
Probably the greatest. I can't call him the greatest quarterback ever, but I can say
but that was the greatest season for a quarterback.
It was the greatest season, but I can't call him. It was 1 year. I can't.
I'm not at a space where I can actually give. I can't say he had a better year, because I mean people sleep on Cam Newton's year, or Tim Tebow.
I actually read an article comparing Cam Newton and Joe Burrow's year, like right before this video, and it doesn't even it compares. But it's not even close. Like, Cam Newton had like 500 less total yards than Joe Burrow that year.
Which is
and like 10 less touchdowns.
But then we gotta go over this. You look at all the talent wise, Cam's year was amazing. But then Tim Tebow?
Yeah, that's
Tim Tebow.
That's for an entire career.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
it's
what I'm
Tebow.
saying.
But for one season,
look at this cover, Nate. NCAA.
That would be the sickest cover in college football history.
That's what I'm saying. This is NCAA 21. Think about it. Once you win the national championship, you can go smoke a cigar with Coach O. We'll implement that in the game.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers. I mean, you just can't disagree with Joe.
I can't disagree with that one. I got to rock. Hey, listen, that's unanimous right there. That would be the code. That gotta be.
Well, let's go to 22, Nate. NCAA 22. You said it earlier. Devonta Smith was the man, right? I mean, it's been 29 years since a wide receiver had won Heisman last. So we were like, this has to be the guy. I mean, he had two teammates who got Heisman votes that year as well, and still beat him. I mean, they like Mac
Jones and Najee.
Oh, and Najee, I didn't know that.
They both got
votes. They both got votes, and Devonta Smith still beat them. But we said that there was somebody even better, who is the second coming of Johnny Manziel,
the next football Jesus.
He
looks too. He got that
looks
long
like
hair.
it too. He looks
you
like
know who we're talking about.
Nate, who's on the cover of NCAA 22? Why didn't we put Deshaun Watson on the cover?
Because he was before his time, and he was before his time. But Trevor Lawrence was that guy. Trevor Lawrence,
Because at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence is more marketable than Devonta Smith. If we put ourselves back in that big glass conference room, the EA execs, have been salivating at the mouth for 4 long years, waiting for Trevor Lawrence to just hurry up and get to his senior season, finish him up, so we can put him on the cover of this game and make like $3 billion off this game, because everybody and their mama is buying this. Because everybody and their mama Trevor Lawrence.
They love Trevor Lawrence, especially what he did to Nick Saban in the national championship. They love him.
Oh yeah, I loved it too. It was so
They
good.
love him for what he did to Nick.
And he did it as a sophomore, Nate. He did it as a freaking sophomore.
No, he didn't. He did that as a freshman.
Yeah, freshman.
Well,
True
I must be
freshman.
mistaken.
Right?
Then.
I think he did because he won 2, right?
No, he won one. He won
Oh,
one.
he went to 2.
2018. Yeah, he went to 2 because he lost to Joe Burrow the next year.
Mhm.
No,
Well,
he
no.
didn't lose to Joe Burrow. He got his ass for it. There's a big difference.
No, because before halftime it was like
That was the weakest we had ever seen that LSU.
but
team
let
for a little
Noah.
while.
That national championship was Trevor Lawrence's what?
First loss. Oh yeah, that is like a documented fact. That Trevor Lawrence did not lose a game in elementary school. He did not lose a game in Pee Wee, not in middle school, not in freaking high school. And then this man goes his entire college career is literally football Jesus. This man is untouchable and does not lose a football game until his sophomore or junior year, whatever, of college against Joe Burrow. Literally football Jesus. You cannot match that.
I mean, he got his butt whooped by the guy who had the greatest season ever. But let's be for real, that was his first loss of his entire football career ever.
Really?
He hadn't played football.
Wait,
He hadn't
hold on.
played football for 21 years, Nate.
Wait. He lost his. Was that his sophomore year? They lost to LSU.
Must have been his sophomore
I
year.
think no, because if I remember correctly, he sat a year behind Deshaun Watson, won his sophomore year because I watched just about.
No. He didn't sit behind Deshaun. He came in the year after Deshaun left, and he had to. He was splitting time with who was the court? Was it Taj Boyd that was there?
No, Taj Boyd was before Deshaun.
Okay, it was whoever the quarterback was.
Oh, I remember. It was Kelly Bryant. Because
Yeah.
Kelly Bryant had lost his spot and then transferred to Vandy. I remember.
Weren't we talking about Taj Boyd last night?
Yeah, we were talking about Taj
But
Boyd.
the cool thing about it was Kelly Bryant didn't even have a bad year. He didn't have a bad year. It's just what that team, Trevor Lawrence was what that team needed.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if not many people can say they won a national championship as a freshman, but not just winning a national championship as a freshman, he beat the greatest football program ever.
He beat a guy that don't lose.
He beat somebody that don't lose. But guess what? Trevor Lawrence don't lose either. He don't lose either because that entire year he didn't lose a single game, and still didn't lose a game after. This is Trevor Lawrence's year. He's on the cover, and we're going to NCAA 23. Now, this is the year that is, think about it, this is the year that is the last year of NIL. This is before NIL. This is the last year before we get to NIL, because if we look at it, this is the 2021 season. NIL wasn't into effect until before the 2022 season.
It was like signed in 2021, and it wasn't kind of like fully organized until 2022.
Yes.
We did some heavy research.
Yeah, we did some
research. We were looking at laws and crap.
We are the execs, Nate. We are in our
We are
rooms.
EA.
We are EA. So, for college football 23, we thought, well, maybe we can have a double cover, or maybe we can have a whole team on a cover. Guess who went undefeated and made the playoffs as a group of 5 team that year, Nate?
Oh.
Cincinnati Bearcats. Desmond Ritter, Jerome
Do your
Ford.
Desmond Ritter impression. That's our opening. This
is our intro. This is our intro for the thing. This is our intro. Think of I'm Desmond Ritter. Hey, I'm Desmond Ritter, the quarterback for the University of Cincinnati, and I want you to play college football. NCAA 23 with my team on the cover, who went to the college football playoffs, the only undefeated group of 5 team to do so.
Not even Zabransky.
Not even Zabransky can
Not
do that.
even Zabransky.
Zabransky can't even freaking do that. Zabransky can't touch Desmond Ritter. Jerome Ford tore both his ACLs for this freaking team. He went to Alabama, tore one of his ACLs, tore another ACL the second season in Alabama, and guess what? They didn't want him anymore. But guess who wanted him? Like Jared Goff with Detroit, like Jared Goff with the Lions. Cincinnati wanted Jerome Ford. He came in with Desmond Ritter. The aura this team
He had
produced.
Sauce on that team.
Sauce was on that
Who's
team.
the other
Kobe
corner?
Bryant was
Yeah.
on that team. And we thought Kobe Bryant had passed away, but we were mistaken. This guy was still alive, just in the form of a
Living
Cincinnati
through.
cornerback. But Nate, we just said that EA loves to glaze Michigan. And we had somebody who was the greatest defensive player this year who happened to go to the University of Michigan, and we just can't pass that if we're EA.
Because this is the year of defenders. We had our year of running backs. There was crazy defenders that year. We had
Jordan Davis and Will Anderson.
and Aiden Hutchinson. They
cover.
split the major like defensive player of the year awards 3 ways that year. But we had to go with Aiden Hutchinson because of the Michigan glaze.
So Aiden Hutchinson is on our cover of NCAA 23, which brings us to actually not NCAA 24. This is the first year of NIL. This is college football 24. And Nate, let me tell you something real quick. We had a guy who won the Heisman the previous year.
Hey, Connor, hold on. Hey, Connor. Hey, this is my sister right here. Have you ever met my sister?
No, I haven't.
Here.
Hi.
That's my sister.
How are you?
Good. How are
I'm
you?
Nate's younger brother.
Oh, so we all kinfolk now.
We kinfolk. We
Okay.
I'm Nate's younger brother's third cousin.
Okay. So you must be younger than me then. So okay. Nice to meet you, sweetie.
Nice to meet you. But Nate, we're on college football 24. This is the first year NIL is established. So we look at current players that played in the season of 2020.
Yep. Oh wow.
Hey, when you think of 2023, who's the guy you think of? Who's the guy that comes to mind? He just got drafted number 1 overall. It's Caleb Williams, right?
I don't think Caleb Williams.
But look. When you think of Caleb Williams, you're thinking, okay, well, this guy won a Heisman, right? He has to be on the cover because there's Heisman bias. Not for EA. You want me to tell you what the bias we have at EA is? As the execs in our glass wall room with our coffee tables, getting our lackeys to get our coffee, we are sitting at this conference room and saying Caleb Williams did not deserve to be on the cover of EA and does not deserve to be on the cover of College Football 24. Why? Because he didn't just lose to Tulane in the Cotton Bowl. He didn't just lose to a Group of 5 team in the Cotton Bowl. He has never beaten Utah in his entire career and has never beaten a top 10 college football team in his entire college career. So for him to be on the cover of College Football 24 would be disrespectful. So he does not be on the cover. Nate, who were you thinking of earlier?
I ain't putting him on there. I'll put Marvin Harrison Jr. on there.
And that's who I thought too. Until I looked at somebody that had won 2 national championships and just about did it by himself. Nate, the cover of College Football 21 isn't Caleb Williams. It's not Marvin Harrison Jr. because this is the first year of NIL. It's Brock Bowers out of Georgia.
Wowzers.
And you can argue, you can say what you want. This was an easy decision for me. Noah had kind of a dilemma when he came up with this. It couldn't be Caleb Williams. Nobody was talking about Caleb Williams in college until we got the draft came up. This was strictly Brock Bowers' team. I mean, he did a lot for that Georgia team when they went to the playoffs. Let's think about it.
Yeah.
So we can talk about it, but Brock Bowers for me is the guy. So, Nate, as we end off this segment, as we go into it, we have one more thing for you. We want you to tell us who is on the cover of College Football 26 for this coming season. Once 25 ends and we have a current player, so think about it. It can't be anybody that graduated because all the people on the cover have now graduated. It has to be somebody that is very good now that will still be in college the next year.
And be good next year.
Yes. So do you have anybody in mind whenever I say those words?
They're going to be in college next year, like even
Next year, he's got to be in college. He can't graduate this year because he's got to be on the cover. He's got to be in the game.
I know.
And we're EA right now, so we can make this happen. Nate, do you want me to tell you who I think should be on the cover of College Football 26?
Oh,
And you're going to be very, very happy. No, Nate, who is this?
you
This is your cover of
give us
College.
our respect. Give us our respect.
This is your
Give us
cover
our
of
respect.
College Football 26. This is Noah Fafita.
I don't even know who this is.
As a true freshman, Noah Fafita took the Arizona. They're the Wildcats, right, Nate?
Yes.
They took the Arizona Wildcats not just to I think they went to the conference championship. I can't remember. But he didn't just take them to a historic season. I mean, although they did lose to State in the beginning of the season at overtime and start, but I mean, we could talk about that.
No,
They were ranked in the top 20 of the country, number 16, and they won their playoff game with Noah Fafita behind center. So this guy, he joined as a backup to Jaden DeLaura, but took over in week 4 when Laura got injured against Stanford. He had a 67-yard go-ahead touchdown drive in the fourth quarter to beat Stanford 21-20. Talk about aura. When you come in as a quarterback, as a true freshman, and you want to set the tone, you want to put your feet in the ground and say, hey, I'm your guy from here on out until I graduate, until I leave. Noah Fafita is the guy. He went on and led Arizona to a 21-20 victory in his first season, and then got his week start for his first career start against Washington the next week. Did really good, but they just lost because, I mean, it was Washington. When you think of somebody that's going to be good this next season, that was good last season as a true freshman, it's got to be Noah Fafita. And Nate, I knew I was going to make you happy with that, but I mean, you can't really argue with it, can you? You went to
No, I can't.
But tell me that's not who's going to be on your College Football 26.
Yeah, right.
Let me give you another good look. Soak it in. Soak it in. This is College Football 26, baby.
Yeah. Give us our respect.
Hey, we got to. We got to.